Hello, welcome to episode 28 of the Wayward Skein podcast. I sound terrible, I'm not contagious, and I don't feel horrible. I've just been hacking up a lung still since the beginning of December. Anyway, I'm Lynn, also known as Toll Baby pretty much anywhere online. I am basically the Wayward Skein podcast. Rob is not here this week, as you can see. His little chair is empty back there. I haven't bothered to put the chair back in the dining room because, well, I like it there. So today is Sunday, the 6th of January, and I'm not sure quite how that happened because it feels like Rob left weeks ago. January is sort of stretching out. I went back to work this week for 2 days, all of 2 days. I was gonna go back Wednesday morning, but Rob's Tuesday night flight got changed to Wednesday morning. There was bad weather in the Maritimes that prevented his plane from getting here, and he would have arrived in Toronto later than his next flight was supposed to take off, and it was the last flight of the day, so he stayed an extra night, which was fine. It was great. We went out, had a really nice dinner, and but then we had to wake up at 3:45 the next morning to get to the airport. I'm not a morning person at the best of times. So that was a super fun morning. I got back home from dropping him off at the airport, I think it was 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, that gives me an hour and a half to sleep before I have to get up and go to work. So I went back to sleep and I woke up and I felt horrible. This has sort of been playing around for a month. It was a chest infection, then it became a sinus infection, then it went back into my chest, and it just hasn't budged. I have been on antibiotics, they've done nothing. So I'm just waiting it out at this point. Either my lungs are going to kill me or they're not. I doubt they're going to kill me. So Rob went home on Wednesday, and today is Sunday, so he hasn't been gone all that long, but it feels like forever. So I'll jump right in with today's tea, since, you know, I am sitting here sipping on it. I love that mug makes that noise. I'll try not to hack too much, because when I get started, it's hard to stop. Which means I can't laugh during this episode, because the second I start laughing, I start choking and coughing and so on and so forth. So this morning's tea is this lovely stuff. It is David's Tea White Cranberry Bark. It has apple, papaya, raisins, cranberries, elderberries, hibiscus blossoms, white chocolate, which I can't really taste, a little bit of stevia extract, and natural cranberry and chocolate flavoring. Contains milk. So if you're dairy-free, this is no good for you. But it's very subtle. It could just be my taste buds, but I'm pretty sure I can taste it. The cranberry itself is not super overpowering. I can actually taste the apple in it. It's very nice. It's very smooth, very, very subtle. There's really not a lot of stevia in it because it doesn't taste sweet. Well, I'm assuming there's not a lot of stevia in it. There could be like a teaspoon. I don't know. I doubt it, though, because that would make the sachet very big. So anyway, that's my tea. It was one of my advent calendar teas that I just didn't get around to. I sort of fell behind after the first couple of weeks. More on the homemade one than on the David's one. I tried to keep up with the David's one, but the homemade one, yeah, I've got like 10 or 12 left that I still need to drink. So, with tea discussion done, I am going to talk about the Bijou Basin KAL. I'm a little disappointed. I thought there was going to be a little more interest in this than there was. I hoped that there would be a little more participation in this than there was. 2 people participated. 2. And when I told Rob that, he was like, yay! And I was like, no, sweetie, that's like when you're trying to raise money by selling chocolate bars and you only sell 2. And he goes, oh. So I don't know that I'm going to host another KAL anytime soon. Certainly not for prizes. Because I actually bought the prizes for this one, and it was... I'm not going to have to pay to ship them because the winner lives in my city. So, and I actually convinced her to put her project in the KAL because it fit with the dates. And so, Selma, who is Selma Knits on Ravelry, and who is my friend who lives across the river from me. She won the main prize. She's the only one who finished anything other than me. So she wins this lovely set of mini skeins from Bijou Basin. And these are Lhasa Wilderness. So this is going to be a new base for her to try. She knit her project, which was the wood I'm never sure how to pronounce this word. Is it sorrel or is it sorrel? Because sorrel sounds like it would be the French pronunciation. But anyway, the wood sorrel mitts by Melissa Shashwari. And she knit hers out of Himalayan Summit. This is Lhasa Wilderness. It's a different base. And I think she's going to very much like those colors. They're a little muted, but very rich and very pigmented, and that tends to be Selma's sort of wheelhouse. They're not purple and they're not gray, so I'm giving her something different. Sorry. She has also won this pattern book from Annie Modisett. Annie actually gave this to us a couple years ago, 3-4 years ago at Stitches Midwest as a giveaway prize. And so this is the knitted wraps and cover-ups. It's boleros, capes, shrugs, etc., etc. I think someone will have a good old time plowing through this. And there's a lot about shawl construction, and it's pretty cool. So I think she will enjoy this. And she also wins a little bottle of Allure, which is the wool wash that, was created by Eileen, who is one of the owners of Bijou Basin. She was a research chemist, worked for the Dow Company, actually was on the team that created OxyClean. This is the wool wash that she has created for Bijou Basin. It is absolutely fantastic stuff. I love it. It's the only one I use, because one of the nice things is that they make a fragrance-free, and it really is fragrance-free. I've tried some other companies' fragrance-frees, and they always have like a soapy smell to them. This one really doesn't. And I find it better for my skin, because I tend to break out in scented products and stuff, and TMI, but anyway. So Selma has won those 3 things, and the participation prize is going to go to Elisabella, sorry, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. She knit she started a garter rectangular jacket by Annie Modisett. I believe she's using Lion Brand yarn, but the rules said that you had to either use a pattern from Annie or yarn from Bijou Basin, or both. Excuse me. Hopefully that will calm that down for a bit. Unfortunately, as most of you probably know, the more you talk, the worse it gets. So this is going to be a short episode. I actually have some knitting progress to show you guys this week. Ta-da! Shouldn't have done that. I finished a mitten. It is one of my naughty mittens, and I can't really turn my arm the right way to show you the cables properly. Try to turn the mitten a little bit. I don't know if you can see those. Come on, focus. I'm moving around too much. I'm not steady enough for it to focus. So there is a lovely cable pattern right through here. And then there's nothing else for the whole rest of the mitt. It fits snugly because that's what I wanted it to do. Like, it literally just goes to the ends of my fingers. And the thumb is perfectly fitted for me. I have short little fingers, so this is fine. Sorry. So, these are the Naughty Mittens by Tessa Rexroth. They are based on the Naughty Glove pattern by Julia Mueller. Or Muller. Sorry, this is Bear in Sheep's Clothing, and the yarn base is called Bear Masham. Masham is apparently a brand, a breed of sheep, and I have far more than one mitten's worth left, so some people will be getting minis out of this. And the colorway is called Squall, and I love the sort of stripey thing it did with the purple and the turquoise. It's beautiful. Oh, there you can see the cables. You just can't see them when they're on my wrist. That's okay. I know they're there. So now I have to cast on the second mitt. These are done on a 2.5 millimeter needle, which is US 1.5, and I thought it was appropriate that I use this as my project bag. This is the bag that Kate, who is Hawthorne Cottage Crafts, made for me. Her first Rhinebeck last year. She made us all bags, and she's the one who gave me the skein yarn at the same time. It was in the ball. It was in the bag. So I thought it was appropriate to use her bag for that, and she had them embroidered Rhinebeck 2017 for us. And you can see her little tag. Whoop, tag back here. I want to take an opportunity while I'm talking about Kate to congratulate her. Kate and... Wow, I really should have written this down before I started recording. I don't remember who else. It's another Irish, well-known Irish knitter who also happens to be a pattern designer, I believe. They put together a retreat for November 2019 in Northern Ireland. I believe it's in Belfast. I'm not sure. It's called the Ullen Knitting Retreat. It went on sale January 4th, and it sold out, I think, in less than half an hour. It sold out like super quickly, and I'm so happy for them that this has been successful, that I mean, there's a waiting list, which I wish I was on, but I'm saving for a house, I'm saving for a wedding. Rob was like, if it was super successful and they decide to make this a regular thing, I promise you will go to one after we're married. So he understands. So I really hope it goes well for them. I've seen, like Kate did a tour of the venue on one of her Vlogmas episodes, and it just looks fabulous. It looks like a fantastic time, and I hope they have a great time and that it is successful enough for them to repeat several times. So congratulations, Kate. Yay! When she posted that it was sold out, I was like, holy cow. It sold out fast. So some other things I've been knitting on. I wanted to make some progress before I recorded because, you know, I felt like my knitting had been going nowhere forever. So you guys have seen this. It was up to about here last time you guys saw it. So I finished the leg and I've started on the heel flap of Rob's 2019 socks. They were good. I thought that maybe if I applied myself, they could be his birthday socks. Haha. Who was I trying to kid? They will be his 2019 socks. They may be finished within the next month or so, but he will get them for our anniversary in July. So, or maybe he'll get them at Passover if I'm done by then. I should be done by then. But, so this is my regular sock pattern, which is a 3x2 rib. I base myself on the knitting. Sorry, it's because my fingers only go up that far, so I can't stretch the whole thing out. There we go. Rob actually has one ankle that's considerably larger than the other. Several years ago he broke an ankle and they had to set it surgically with pins, and so it's considerably bigger than the other ankle. So he's always had difficulty with socks that are tight on one leg and loose on the other, and I tease him, I tell him he's got chicken legs. He really doesn't. So he always had trouble with, especially with formal socks, that like trouser socks that would be loose on one leg and tight on the other. So that's why I do the rib, because they stretch out an awful lot. And they are perfectly comfortable on both his legs. They don't fall down. They don't slouch. So that's the other reason for the rib, is that it stiffens up the fabric so that it doesn't droop. So for his socks, I do a 75 row leg, which makes me crazy sometimes because, oh my god, why couldn't I fall for a man who liked short socks? But 75 rows of leg it is, and now I'm a quarter of the way through my heel flap. For the heel flap, I tend to do 20 back and forth rows. So really it's a 40 row heel flap, but so I'm 5 rows into that, or 10 rows into the 40. So I'm hoping to finish the heel flap today and turn the heel. We'll see what happens, because I am supposed to be going to my mom's for dinner tonight, and if my brother is there with his kids, the knitting doesn't come out. The knitting comes out if they're not there, but definitely not if they're there. They have a very little one right now. She's just over a year old, and she's very curious and likes to touch all the things. So rather than tempt her and take it away and make her upset, I just don't take it out. So this, wow, I gotta keep on track here. Whee! So I don't know if I mentioned, this is based on sock recipe, A Good Plain Sock by Stephanie Pearl McPhee. It's published in her Knitting Rules book. The toe that I've mentioned that I do, the 4321 toe, I learned it from the Yarn Harlot at her Grok the Sock class. It's not in the book, but I've been told that it approximates the toe on the Rose City Rollers sock, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. The yarn is Gnome Spun Puka Base. I don't know why I've never written down what that actually is, but I'm pretty sure it's like an 80-20 or 75-25 merino nylon. And it is the colorway Brave. He has seen them. He is okay with the color. I can, you know, charge ahead. That's one of the reasons that I tend to hesitate with socks abroad, because until he's seen it, I don't know that he's going to be okay. Like, he said he was okay with dark red, but really, he said he was okay with the other one too until he saw it knitted up. So, yes, he is perfectly fine with it. He loves it. I am going full steam ahead. This is now my bust knitting again. The mitten was my bust knitting when I got up past the thumb and the cable pattern, because it was just straight knitting. So I was like, I want my mittens. So I worked on that a lot. This is the colorway Brave. These are also done on 2.5mm needles, which is view is 1.5. You can see I'm using my arrow needles. Not my favorites, but that's okay. So I'm actually hoping to add squares to my blanket, because this isn't attached to anything right now. So I want to attach a square to my blanket before I make the second mitten. I want to wind off a mini for Kate before I put on the second mitten. Mainly because I have a group of minis that I'm trying to put together for Kate. She's doing a granny stripe blanket. And she is noticing that her mini collection is dwindling rapidly. So I'm actually putting an envelope together of stuff to send to Kate. And so I want to send her a mini of this lovely yarn that she bought me. So I have done some other knitting. I have not been adding a square a day, but I have still been adding squares. Which end am I working on here? It's getting too big for me to be able to tell easily. I think I'm working on this end. Yes, I am working on this end. Hurrah! So I have added some more squares to my blanket. I'll flip it over so it's the right side. My notebook over here has all my squares listed in it, because I'm obsessive that way. So the last one I showed you guys was the Gales Art, which is this one here. So since then I have done this square, which is Dragon Horde Yarns, in the Filibuster Fireworks colorway. And this was given to me by Laura and, I'm a terrible person, the girls from Knit for Brains podcast. I'm so sorry. I want to say Allison, but I'm not sure. I remember your faces. I remember your usernames. I don't remember your real names. I'm sorry. But anyway, this was a cowl that Allison had done for herself, and I got a little bit of the leftovers at Stitches Midwest 2017, I think. I didn't go this year, so this was given to me the last time I was there, so 2017. This is Knit Picks Stroll Tweed. This is Rob's second last pair of socks, so this is the socks I made him in 2017. It's Lost Lake Heather. So this is, Rob's 2017 socks. We weren't sure he was going to like the heathered yarn, but he did, or the tweed yarn rather. He did like it, and it's fabulous to knit with. It's super soft, and the tweedy bits didn't bother me at all. This is Dragon Tail's red tonal that I bought at Twist in 2017. You'll remember the green tonal from over here. That was the green tonal. I basically bought two minis at Twist. I bought a red one and a green one, and that was it. So that was my red tonal from Dragon Tail's yarn. This is Red Sock, Blue Sock, basic sock in Taste the Rainbow from my friend Sarah, who is the Canadian Knitter podcast and now the Steeped in Books booktube channel. So this was one of Sarah's projects. I believe she made herself socks out of it, and I got a mini out of it. And this last one is Knit Picks Galileo Dragonfly, and it was leftovers from my friend Crystal. So, super, super soft. I'll have to look up what the content of Galileo is, because it's absolutely beautiful yarn to knit with. I think it's discontinued, so it's a moot point. But so I only have four squares left to finish my row, and I would very much like this to be one of them. It'll probably be the last one. It'll either be here or here. It's not going to be on top of like similar colors. So I gotta get moving so that I can make myself a square out of this before I start the second mitten, or maybe I'll just wind myself off a mini, because I obviously have tons of it, more than I will need for a mitten. So that's my blanket. It is based on the Knitted Patchwork recipe by Martine Ellis, and I use a 2.75 millimeter needle, which is US 2, and I cast on 20 stitches per side, so 40 stitches. I modified things. Who doesn't do that? So the blanket is going to go back on the chair it lives on with my 3 big bags of minis. I'm not exaggerating when I say I have a lot of minis. Unlike Kate, my supply is not dwindling quite yet. So I'm working on it. It will dwindle eventually. But I think I counted, I did the math last week, and if I do a square blanket, 35 squares by 35 squares, that requires me to knit 1,225 squares, and I currently have about 235 done. I will not be finishing this blanket anytime soon. But I would like to carve out a significant dent this year. Last year I barely touched it at all. Aside from the advent calendar period, I didn't really touch it much because I had not been knitting since September or October of 2017. I had injured my shoulder and physio, blah, blah, blah. Now I can knit whatever I want, whenever I want. I've discovered exercises to do. I've figured out stretches to do. I try to knit with my back a little bit straighter, my shoulders back, and that helps a little bit with the pain that I was getting before. So physio has been amazing. I wish I could clone my physiotherapist because he is magic. And anyway, you guys don't need to know about that. So where'd I put it? I've got it stacked here on top of a cup, which is weird. So I did finish this book. I made it sound a little more innocuous than it was last week because I didn't want to give anything away. But it actually says on the back of the book. So this is her terrifying account of the fateful voyage. So this is the True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle by Avi. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Basically, Charlotte Doyle was in prep school in England when her family got called back to the United States. They were Americans who had moved to England for a job for her father. I think this is like based in the 1800s or so. So her family had been called back to the United States, and since she was in the middle of the school year, she got to stay. She was a boarding school. She got to stay and finish her school year and then take a ship by herself to go home, except she wasn't supposed to be by herself. There were supposed to be 2 families traveling on this ship who had booked passage, and she was supposed to go with them, and they ended up changing their minds, and she ended up alone. And the person who was charged with taking her to the ship was like, too bad, so sad, I'm not taking you back. You better get on the boat or figure yourself out. So he basically abandoned her to the ship. The ship belonged to the company that her father worked for, so technically it should have all been safe and above board. But there were shenanigans being planned. Pardon me. It turns out that the captain of the book was a cruel, not very nice guy, and the crew had all sailed with him before, with the exception of the first mate, and so it was supposed to be this whole mutiny being planned and so on and so forth. Anyway, she got caught up in the middle of it. She gets accused of murder, which is on the back of the book, so I'm not giving anything away. So she gets accused of murder, blah, blah, blah. This is the whole story of all the stuff she went through to get home. It was a very good book. I had no problem at all. Like, I think I read it over the course of about 4 evenings. More so after Rob left, because, I can't just sit and read in bed when he's there, because he's trying to fall asleep. And he can't fall asleep when there's lights on, so. Which is a lie, because he totally can if he's tired enough. I've seen him do it. But anyway, so after he left, I read it in about 2 evenings. So I very much enjoyed it. It's a YA book. It's a young adult book. I think it was, no, it wasn't Scholastic. It was published by Avon. But it does have a Newbery Prize mention, and it's won a couple of other awards, and it wouldn't surprise me if it was published by Scholastic at one point. So it's that sort of book. Don't expect, like deep literature, but it's a good read. I actually very much enjoy reading a lot of YA stuff, because it's just adult stuff without the sex and the violence, and there actually is a fair bit of violence in this. So, it's a good read, and I would highly recommend it, and I liked it. On screen, I have an exciting announcement to make. It's not my announcement. I don't know how many of you watched the Knitterarium podcast with Ruth. She was one of the ladies with the pink hair. The other lady with the pink hair is the lady with the pink hair. I think is what she calls herself. The girl with pink hair. And that's Sally Jane, and she is in South Africa, and she has a podcast with her daughter. But Ruth is Irish and had a podcast called the Knitterarium Podcast. Last year, her mom passed away, and she stopped podcasting at that point. Actually stopped knitting for a while. And then got in more and more into pattern designing. And started writing a book. And now has decided that it's time for her to start podcasting again. So she has started a whole new podcast. She has not gone back to Knitterarium. She's started a whole new podcast that had its very first episode this week, and I'm super excited to welcome her back to YouTube. So go check out the Slow Knitting podcast. It's pure Ruth. It's fantastic. I loved it. Thank you for podcasting again, Ruth. We missed you. Also, I have been watching Selma has a new podcast episode out. Selma of Little Big Knits has a new podcast episode out. Kate, who is Hawthorne Cottage Craft, has a new podcast episode out. Jessica of Saranova Crafts recorded an episode before she left for Israel this morning. Well, she recorded it yesterday, but she posted a new episode. She's gone on her birthright trip to Israel. She left this morning, really, really early. And I'm super excited to hear when she arrives there, because she's in the air right now. And it's a long flight, so I'm super anxious to see when she's going to land, if she's going to be able to get access to Wi-Fi somewhere so that she can let us know and post pictures and stuff. So I'm super excited for her. That's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's amazing. And I'm so happy she's getting to go. There have also been episodes from the Knit Girls, the Knitting Expat. A whole bunch of people have been podcasting, and most of them have been knitting quite a bit more than I have. So there we go. Go watch them. They're more exciting. I'm in a mood today. I slept in a little bit, and I went to work yesterday, and I came home and I was a zombie. I watched a ridiculous amount of TV, and this is what I did all day Wednesday when I called in sick. The time that I was conscious, I was watching TV, so, which is unusual for me. I don't just generally sit in one spot and watch TV, but there we are. When I'm not feeling well, apparently that's my go-to. So, since I talked to you guys last, I was about to watch Doctor Strange. Rob and I watched it that night. It is better than I remembered. I had only seen it once, and so had not absorbed a lot of it. So watching it a second time was really, really cool. It was hilarious. It was dramatic. It was amazing. I loved it. Benedict Cumberbatch does a completely believable American accent. Not all British actors can do that, or not all non-American actors can do that. He did it flawlessly. It was perfect. I had difficulty with the chemistry between him and Rachel McAdams, but I don't know, it wasn't really there for me, but I really loved the movie. So after that, I ended up watching episodes 1 to 15 of season 4 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they split it up into 2. You watch episodes 1 to 15, then you watch the first season of Iron Fist, which I'm currently tackling right now, and then you go back and watch the second half of the episode before you get to watch Spider-Man Homecoming, which I'd also never seen before, so I'm looking forward to that. Especially now that I've been introduced to the Spider-Man character in the last 2 Avengers movies, and I like him. He's a cool kid. So, I say kid because I have children that age. I mean, well, the age that he's supposed to be portraying. I am old enough to be his mom, but anyway. So right now I'm partway through season 1 of Iron Fist, which is a Netflix series which has been canceled, so I need to move my butt. And then I get to watch the other half of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then Spider-Man Homecoming, and then there's Marvel Defenders and blah, 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 and it's like, when am I getting to Age of Ultron? I feel like this has been a long, arduous journey, and realistically, I probably started this back in October. So it's just because I don't watch TV every day, and otherwise I would have been done. I don't binge watch either, so, I mean, I do, but not, okay, boom, 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 let's watch 6 episodes today. I'll watch 1, and then go to bed, and then the next night, maybe I'll watch 1, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll watch half of 1 and watch the rest the next morning. I don't sit there through episode after episode unless I'm dead tired and don't have the energy to do anything else. So I've been trying to watch a little bit more. Weirdly enough, most people say they try to watch less TV, but I've been trying to watch more. I can feel my voice going, so I'm going to stop babbling. I had not seen the beginning of season 4 for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I had seen the first couple of episodes, but I hadn't seen the whole 15. So I'm now in new territory. And it's seeming a little more and more and more far-fetched every season. But they introduced the Ghost Rider in the end of season 3. Now they're starting to introduce different threats, which are kind of ridiculous. And I'm not enjoying it as much, but I'm plugging away. Iron Fist, I'm enjoying surprisingly. I don't like all the casting. I like the casting of Finn. Can't remember his last name now. The kid who plays Iron Fist. I can call him a kid. He's 25. So anyway, I haven't, I like the main character, but I'm not crazy about the casting of some of the other characters. It's moving along. I think I'm on episode 4 or 5. And, cause, yeah, I spent all of Wednesday watching TV. And a good part of yesterday, too, because I worked 11 to 3:30 yesterday. It was a short shift, and I was so dead tired when I got home that I just plugged myself down in front of the computer and let it go. So, yeah, there was a lot of TV. Pardon me. But anyway, that's about all the babbling I'm going to do, because at this point I'm starting to get really hungry. And I have my can of soup sitting here. Yes, I eat soup straight from the can because I'm lazy. And the neighbors are starting to get a little bit rambunctious upstairs, and I can hear the little one running around back and forth, so I'm going to stop this before they get super excited. And before I stop being able to talk to you. So I'm going to wish you all a great week. Next week I'll have a couple of things to talk about. Hopefully that will be a little bit different because I have some goals in mind for January. And I'm hoping to make some headway into them before I see you again. Next weekend is my mom's birthday on Saturday. So, well, it's not, her birthday isn't on Saturday. Her birthday is on Wednesday, I believe. Yes, Wednesday. So, I probably won't see her during the week, but we have something planned maybe for next weekend. I went and bought her some of her favorite ice cream. She won't watch this. It's okay. I buy it for, well, since I found out where I could get it, because I looked for years for this stupid ice cream. She loves Spumoni ice cream, which is surprisingly hard to find in Ottawa. But I finally found a source for it, and it's good. good spumoni, not like because I bought some Eddies in the States and I brought home, and she was like, it's not quite right. It was mass-produced spumoni, and it was not right. It didn't have the dry fruits in it. It didn't have the flavors of the 3 ice creams, because it's supposed to be pistachio ice cream, cherry ice cream, and chocolate ice cream mixed together. And it just wasn't right. So I have found some good Italian spumoni. It's imported. It's delicious, and she loves it. And last year I bought like 3 cartons of it for her birthday. So she's actually just finishing it up now. And so I went out and bought her another one for her birthday on Wednesday. So not the biggest birthday present, but I also want to take her out to dinner at a seafood restaurant when I'm feeling a little bit less bleh. So, because she loves seafood and she can't cook it in the house because my father's severely allergic to it. So, that's one of my plans, is we're going to go out for a good seafood dinner and just go nuts. So, I will talk to you guys all next week and hopefully have some new and interesting stuff to show you. So, everybody have a great week. Bye!